Well, good morning. I'm here with
Sophie Wiley.
and
Olivia Wiley.
yes, and we've established that this is just a coincidence. You're not related. We're at Osgoode Township High School, where Principal Richard King has set up a Dreamers book club, and now a sort of an initiative to reimagine how we might think of learning being reshaped into the future. So I'll ask this question. Say you've been brought in by a school district because you're now in grade 11 and you've had a lot of experience in classrooms and in schools. Thinking back on that experience, if you had the opportunity to reimagine, what advice would you give to a school district as to how learning would look, how it would feel?
I think starting off with being able to create a space in a classroom where students and individuals are able to kind of come in with creativity and kind of broaden their imaginations and being able to research things that they're passionate about and creating opportunities for that to happen would be a really important step in being able to kind of reimagine what a classroom looks like, because I think in a classroom it's very important for individuals to be able to learn what they're passionate about, and so to be able to kind of engage with those students even one-on-one, to be able to kind of come up with ideas or opportunities for the entire class to be able to take on different projects where they can be learning something that they choose to learn about, and also present it in a way where you can sort of see their passions coming into play, is a really important step to creating spaces where students are passionate about learning and coming into school to do those things.
Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more, Sophie. Olivia, do you have anything to add that in your reimagining? What would it look like?
Along similar lines to what Sophie said, I feel like it's really important to specialize learning as to what the children want or what they specifically would like to learn. So I feel like as opposed to thinking specific, it's better to think broad and kind of establish learning in a way that's individualized, so people can research what they want, they can write projects about what they want, they can do presentations about what they want, but they're still developing those fundamental skills of reading, of writing, of researching, and so all in all they're still gaining experience that would help them in the world, but they can also like research and learn about what they like.
I love that. I love that focus on personalization. So really the implication there is that the educators, no matter who they are, whether they're teachers or ECEs, what they need to do is to get to know each individual child or young learner. Thinking back on your experience, can you think of a classroom or classrooms or times in your lives when you've had that experience, when you've had an opportunity to learn in a way that really excited you and engaged you?
Yes, for sure. I think specifically in this year, my grade 11 year, I've had a biology class, which has been really, really interesting to be a part of. And previously, when I've spoken with other students who've also taken this class, it was really kind of something that was outside of the box and not something that was, I guess, like a typical classroom where you're sitting down and doing lessons. We were always up at the boards doing activities with other people, as well as like engaging with the teacher and also doing some lessons, but not so much as per usual. And so the opportunities that we were able to acquire from those classes were we were able to research projects on sort of specific, they gave us like a broad kind of task that you could look into. So for example, we just finished our plants unit last week, I guess, and one of the projects what we're able to do with that unit is we can choose any type of plant or any type of kind of idea relating to plants, and you're able to research and come up with like a project, and you're able to like present that in your own specific way that you feel like you want to. And so for example, I chose to do project about raspberry plants.
Raspberry plants.
Yes,
Okay.
and how they're beneficial for your health as well. And so I was able to present that in sort of like a book of poems,
Oh,
which
wow.
was really cool. And I was able to kind of come up with these poems and then also explain a little bit more about the raspberry plants as I'm going. And so that was really fun and interesting because it was kind of something that I got to dive into on my own interest and present it in a way that I felt like kind of represented a little bit of who I am, which is cool.
That's amazing. I'd love to see those poems at some point.
Sure.
That would be lovely. Olivia, your reflection on that?
I really feel like a lot of people have been impacted by the way this biology class is done, and I know there's a lot of students who I've talked to who have gotten like extra learning about it, like because it's done this way, and they feel like they've enriched their experience. And I also feel like biology class and Miss Bansay in particular have really started to pioneer this movement for a lot of individuals in the school as well. And ever since I've talked to Miss Bansay and heard about Miss Bansay doing this different way of learning, I've also experienced some of this starting in some of my other classes. And so, for example, in my English class last semester, we had to do a summative task on a book that we read. And one of these things was that you could pick the format that you wanted to do it in, and you could pick the specific topic that you wanted to do. It's like Sophie was saying in biology class. So I ended up writing a poem from the point of view of a character in a book. And that was just really exciting for me because I was actually excited to learn and excited to complete these tasks. And so it just made the experience a lot more enriching.
That is so interesting. So it's broadening those opportunities to allow for personal engagement in any way you want. It's funny, I always think of, set the task and then get out of the way so that the learner can make sense of the world in the way that the world makes sense to them. I love both of those answers. All right, now I'm going to collide with you. So let's say I believe this. Look, the curriculum is set in place and structured very carefully and has been for many, many, many years now. And these ideas of personalization and, engaging in a way that matters to you, that's all very well and good. But to be honest with you, we have a much more serious goal in mind, and that is to prepare you for the world of the future in your college and university. And you're going to get tests and exams in college and university, so we need to be much more linear to prepare you for that. What would you say to that?
I think when you are thinking about how to make things more linear in a system, specifically in the education system, where a lot of the times there's kind of like an outline put around, and the second you step out of that outline, it's kind of like a no-no zone. And so being able to, anything in life, I don't think anything in life specifically is linear. And I think the up and downs is kind of what makes that really special and unique for any individual to take part in learning. And so things that the system has put in place for education, specifically when we have like lessons or tests and like quizzes and things like that, is kind of just like an opportunity to regurgitate information onto a page versus actually being able to express the learning process, because I think the real demonstration of knowledge is through the process of learning and not at the final endpoint when you write your test and it gets taken away and then you're graded based off of a mark. And I think that kind of degrades the individual, thinking that their number is representative of themselves. But in the whole case is that it's not true whatsoever, because I don't think that you can kind of fit people into boxes and say like, this is how it's going to be done and this is what you're going to be taught, and there's no other way around it. I think we need to start encouraging people to sort of draw outside of the lines.
Wow, so much in that. Olivia?
I feel like the most eye-opening experience that I've had in terms of learning is definitely when we were up at the boards working together. And like Sophie said, I feel like when I have to do a test, I remember the information and then I write it down, and then as soon as it's down on that paper, it's like vacated in my mind and it's like gone and I'm never going to remember it. But one time in biology class, Sophie and I were doing a whiteboard activity together, and we were learning about how multicellular cells were created. And we learned about mitochondria and chloroplasts and all these ways, and how it kind of came to be a complex cell. And so that was one of the things that we discovered ourselves without having to listen to someone regurgitate, just by exploring questions and working together. And that's something that I'm always going to remember, as opposed to just writing stuff down in our paper. So I feel like overall, in general, we need to think about it opposite of the way we're thinking about education at the moment. And as opposed to deciding the box in which everyone should fit in, we need the individuals and everyone else to kind of open that box and decide this is what the boundaries should be, and then that can hopefully inspire many people to revisit the way we learn, and just inspire people to learn the way that they feel like they should learn.
Boy, there's such a lot to unpack in what you two are saying. I'm just going to finish with one more. You both focused very much on this one class and how it started to impact maybe on other people, right? When should this start in school?
I think the first day of kindergarten is a good start. Even
yes,
before then.
Yes.
Like, because I think that's kind of where that there's like the planting of the seed within the world of knowledge comes from that very first day. And I think that's when, depending on how you water it and how much sun it gets, is when it's really going to be able to bloom.
It's about creating the conditions, isn't it?
Yeah.
Olivia?
Yeah, like Sophie said, I feel like children are very curious people, and even as we grow older, we're very curious as well. So allowing that opportunity for creativity and curiosity and thinking outside the box as people are young will kind of promote that way of thinking, and will allow students to feel empowered by learning about what they're interested in, and just breed that curiosity for the rest of their lives.
Did you say breathe that curiosity?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Sophie, Olivia, what amazing young minds. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.